Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning on Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail. That would be me and friends. And my friend today is Susan O'Hara. Susan, it's so good to see you this morning. How are you doing?
I am doing great. And you're going to notice this morning, Gail, when I am talking, that I'm definitely drinking my coffee. So you guys just forgive me. I will say that I tried to pick my coffee mug that matches my shirt, which is still purple for lipedema awareness. So yeah, I'm just going to enjoy this. Welcome to Coffee Chat with Susan and Gail and Susan.
Right, Gail and Susan, Susan and Gail. Yeah,
Right.
it's really interesting. This is the only Thursdays. It's not even Thursday. What am I saying? It's say with
I think it's
what is
Tuesday. Yeah.
Tuesday? Tuesdays. That's so on Tuesday mornings, one Tuesday morning a month. I hold this broadcast, and it's the fourth Tuesday because we have an event tonight, and so I didn't want to. Lipedema Simplified has an event tonight. Our tribe has Q&A on the fourth Tuesday evening, and so I didn't want our members to have to sit through 3 solid hours of me, right? So I said, "Oh, I'll give them one in the morning." And what I've discovered is that even though I get a different audience from this, I'm able to have an audience from Europe and from South Africa. So it's a better timing for them. But I do miss my Western Australian group because
Mhm.
it's, you know, um, but and then some of our west. I point that way because that's west. Actually, that's north. Our Western USA people.
Mhm.
Um, they, it's like, "Oh, Gail's on at 7 in the morning. I can't get there at 6." So I just let them be. They get a Tuesday morning. They don't have to get up for me. You know? But we do get a lot of people who watch the replays, and so for all of you guys who are here today with us so far, please drop in the comments, the chat, whatever it's called on the platform you're watching it on, and let us know where you're coming from today. We're pretty warm where we're living right now. I know, right? And let us know where you are. And then also those of you who are on the replay, we're so glad you're here, um, watching us and letting us hopefully bring a little bit of levity along with the lipedema into your life, right?
Mhm.
Maybe
Mhm.
that's it. Live, love, lipedema.
That's exactly right. It's all, you know what though? I will say this, Gail. So one day, somebody asked me if you could choose between never having had lipedema and being where you are today, that all of a sudden it's becoming a really hard thing because the people that are in my community now, and every single day I meet new people, I can't imagine what my life would be like without all of the people I've met through having lipedema, right?
Right, right,
Yeah.
and it goes beyond that for me, not just all these. I mean, I've met you virtually only, and this is actually my second time talking to you, right?
Mhm.
But you met people this weekend because you went to the Oklahoma City Heart to Heart Circle that was held by Mary Strike,
Yes.
and
And
and and I know all of the Heart to Heart circles that have been going on have been it. Okay, I can't say. I don't mean well attended like a huge amount of people. I mean
Mhm.
well attended by all of these lipedema patients,
Mhm.
their caregivers, people who work with lipedema patients, all of the people who are attending are bringing their hearts. They're bringing their curiosity, their questions. They are bringing their experience and their stories in. So these events, even if there's just one person there or two people there, are very well attended.
Mhm. Mhm.
People who are coming are very present in the moments. And I just before we go any further, I do want to drop the link. We have one more. one more weekend and a few more events coming up. So
Right. So,
we're
hey,
going
while
to
you're doing that, Gail, I would love to tell you about my experience with the circle. So,
okay.
I have been doing lipedema awareness work now here from Oklahoma City for 4 years. And every now and then I will get a message or some kind of a communication from someone and they're like, "Hey, I'm from Oklahoma City. What doctor do you use? What therapist do you use?" Those are the questions I get the most. But I've never had anybody say, "Hey, I would really like to meet you in person." And it's funny because when you do stuff on social media, um, people sometimes think, "Oh, she's too busy." She's somebody even called me the word famous, which is hilarious to me, right? Because I'm just like everybody else, just like, just a girl in my room with a computer. But walking in, so I had to be late, and I'll tell you, my husband had to go to the emergency room. He had a cut on his leg. The timing was terrible, but what do you do, And we had this text chat going on, and Mary is so sweet. And Mary is a retired librarian, and it definitely shows. I walk in late, and I'm like kind of timid, and I'm like, "Hi, everybody. I'm Susan. I'm so sorry I'm late. My husband's in the car drinking a Coke." You know, Mary welcomed me. Everybody welcomed me, and she had these little folders ready for everybody. And she knew that people walking in the door were in all different stages of their lipedema journey. And so she had all kinds of information about the tribe, the clinician's guide to lipedema, some different documents. She had the cutest little journals that I'm sure she paid for herself, that she gave us. She had a whole packet of information, and we all shared our email addresses and all that stuff. And I was only able to stay like maybe half of the time, but I learned so much from the women that were at our group. And I'm going to say there were like maybe 8 or 9, less than 10, but it was the perfect size because we were all sitting like close to each other and able to really talk and connect and stuff. And I felt so like uplifted from being in that group that day, and so welcome as somebody who, one, was a disruptor because I came in late and left early, right? But Mary, oh my goodness, she has got it going on when it comes to preparation for a meeting and like sharing information for people on all ranges of the spectrum. I appreciated it so much, and I cannot wait for her to do another one. And I promise I will be on time. I'll be early next time.
Makeup. You know, you said a couple of things in there. You're like, first of all, I was a disruptor, and and yet you were so everyone. I was so excited when she told me you were registered for her meetup, for her table, and I call them tables, circle, I guess is what we call them this year. But we talked several times. She reaches out to me and she says the same thing to me. I'm sorry, I'm disturbing you, and I'm like, you're not. You know, remember I remember I would be when we first started holding the events where you were interacting, like the heart to heart events, right? We held our first one we held in that format was called the boot camp a couple of Junes ago because it was for lipedema awareness month. And I went into the breakout rooms because hey, this is what I do. I talk to people, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I don't think of myself as anybody except Gail. Right? So I
mhm,
show
mhm.
up in this one breakout room. It's like the second breakout room we did. So I show up, and the girl went, "I've got you," and I'm like, "Yeah, and I've got you. Hi, how are you?" And she's like, "No, I mean, I've got you," and I'm thinking, "Oh, she sees me all the time,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "I need to see her." And it was like just fast connection, but for so many of us, we see each other. Like, I see Catherine all the time, but I also remember when I signed up for something and I just wanted a consultation, a quick free 20-minute consultation. It was
Mhm,
across the bottom of a
mhm.
of a webinar, and so I did it. I'm like, I need one. It's free. I can get one on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock kind of thing, right? I'm thinking, I don't know who I'm going to get, but someone's going to call me and we're going to discuss this. because I had been hiding in the background. I'd been lurking. My phone rings at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Hello, hi, this is Catherine Seo, and I went, what? Are you kidding me? I was expecting some flunky or something.
Intern.
That intern. And truthfully, Catherine is the flunky. She's the one that does all the calling. She is just so involved. I
Mhm.
didn't understand. I mean, I was really expecting like um, a call center kind of person.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
expect a real life person to hear me and to
Isn't
see
that
me.
amazing? Yeah, yeah. And how long ago was that, Gail?
That was in 2019.
Wow. Okay. And I know
And
Catherine's been, you guys, all of you all have been doing this work for a long time,
yeah.
which is amazing.
So tell me, I want to get going here in a few minutes about your work, but can you give us a backstory on how you discovered you have lipedema or the word how did you have that? Okay, here's a word, here's a description. Here,
Mhm.
how did you find out about lipedema or that you had lipedema?
Right. It is this craziest thing. And I think a lot of us have stories that are similar in nature. But, I've always been a big girl. I had a baby in 2001 with the use of fertility treatments. And when I left the hospital, I left with stage 3 lipedema. And of course, when you're a new mom, overwhelmed, all that stuff, right? I was particularly overwhelmed. You go through your life and you're just focused on raising that child, and I go to my doctor's appointments and I had lap band a couple of times, lost weight, gained weight, all that stuff, and really was experiencing some pretty heavy duty, like it wasn't medical gaslighting, it was medical shaming, I think is the word that I would get, especially from my OBGYN that had helped me with the fertility treatments. And, I was sort of despondent, I think is the word. I had joined all these different fitness groups with people who were experts, and I was like, I've got to figure out how to get these legs slimmed down. I'd been to a couple of plastic surgeons here in Oklahoma City who did not want anything to do with me because I weigh over 300 pounds. And so I gave up, and I was just like, I'm going to, focus on eating well, living my life, being busy. And I was just going to continue to cover my legs up. And that's what I did. I wore maxi dresses all the time. And naturally, had started seeking out compression, even though I didn't know what that was. I was looking for the equivalent of Spanx that would fit somebody who wears a size 24, right? And so I had started wearing things like that underneath my clothes anyway. And anyway, I have been a Girl Scout leader for my daughter's entire, school experience, excuse me. And I travel with my girls. And so I was getting ready to take a pretty significant trip to New York City with my girls and was just having terrible foot problems. And I was really worried because when you go to New York, when I think of New York City, I think, oh, my feet are going to hurt, you know? So I'm having this foot problem. I'm going to a physical therapist. And she finally says, you need to go see a podiatrist because there's something going on with your foot. And I had like tendonitis or something going on, right? So she's like, you've got to get a foot brace for this trip that you're getting ready to embark on because, you've got 10 miles a day walking scheduled and stuff. There is no foot brace that will fit my leg, right, on the market. So she sends me to a foot brace company here in Oklahoma City to make me something custom. And the lady was super nice. I felt just as connected to her as I do to you. Like we could sit down and talk about anything easily. And so she's fitting the brace on my foot and she says, "So who's treating your lymphedema?" Lymphedema. And I've never heard this word before, right? And I said, "No one. I don't know." She said, "Yeah, that's what's going on with your leg. You've got lymphedema." And I was like, "Oh." So that gave me enough to go to the internet and start digging. And I actually took some pictures of my legs and went to some groups. And that train got me onto a lady named Lenny Moon Harden, who is a patient. She spoke at Fat Disorders Resource Society many years ago. And whenever I saw her presentation on YouTube, I was like, that lady looks like me. She's gorgeous, but her body looks like me, right? And so then I was able to send my picture in to somebody who looked at it and they said, yeah, that's lipedema. You've got lipedema. And that sent me down the path. And I mean, immediately I hooked up with my doctor, my surgeon actually, and he was able to give me a diagnosis because the doctors here in that I had used just weren't familiar with it at all. Now, I was very fortunate, and I am very fortunate that the doctor I see was open to it. So once I was able to get a real diagnosis from my surgeon, we immediately, like, I changed insurance companies, right, so that I could get treatment because my case was pretty advanced. I was definitely to the point where my legs were really, really fibrotic, and they would move. Like, if this is the regular part of the leg, I had a flap that was over here that would move like one solid piece. Like, I needed surgical intervention at this point. And so I brought the information to my doctor, and she was like, "Susan, I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to read this." And she legitimately did. She made referrals to a lymphedema therapist, a certified lymphedema therapist, who also told me that she had seen a lot of lipedema, but she didn't know the word lipedema, and she'd never actually treated for lipedema. And she had there was another therapist in the office there in the Mercy healthcare system. And when I would come in, I had already started doing the Legs Like Mine presence because I felt like I need to pay it forward for just one more person. If there's one more person suffering, and they can see a picture of my legs and be like, oh, that's the thing, right? So I started doing that. And so I got really open about it. She would bring the other therapist in, and I would let them feel my nodules as I went through different surgery, things and prep and all that stuff. And like, it was almost like a little training class. They would come in, and I would be like, feel this one. It feels like a golf ball. It literally was the size of a golf ball. So that's how it started. And that's how Legs Like Mine started too. And what I'll tell you is I pursued surgery hardcore. And the minute that I came out of the first surgery procedure, I turned on my YouTube channel and I'm like, hi guys, this is Susan. Eyes are rolling back in my head and stuff. And I'm like, I just came out of surgery. And then I talk about, like, I had to stay at a recovery center because I had traveled by myself. And I shared everything. And what ended up happening, Gail, during my recovery was, instead of like resting and sleeping and stuff, I was getting, get this, 1,000, at least 1,000 messages, emails, IMs, DMs from women who were desperate for information. And just to set some perspective, Lipedema Simplified is ongoing. The Lipedema Foundation is ongoing. I mean, there are a few organizations that are already doing their thing, and they're doing great work too, right? And what I have learned from this experience is that it is wonderful that more and more people are entering the awareness space, because if we still have women who are desperately trying to figure out just what is wrong with them, they don't know the word lipedema to
Exactly.
go to Lipedema Simplified or the foundation or Legs Like Mine. And so seeing pictures of people on Instagram and typing in questions like, what's wrong with my legs? And I'm going to say a word that's offensive to a lot of us, so you guys forgive me, but my mom uses the word. She has lipedema as well. What How to get rid of cankles is one of the terms. And so I use that hashtag in my social media because people don't know another word to use, right? Especially, I think over in Europe, it is a very offensive word, and I'm so sorry, but that's what people use to look at tree. What's wrong with my legs? Why do my legs look like tree trunks? Why do I have elephant legs? That my mom says that about herself too. Um, anyway, so what I've learned is that we still need more people in the awareness space to lead patients to definitive, like, research back sources, like Lipedema Simplified, like Lipedema Foundation, like the education group. I mean, we need to be sending people through a pipeline to get to real sources. So you have women who, and I know Catherine talks about this in her presentations over the years, who aren't trying crazy stuff like wrapping their legs in cabbage leaves. And, there's one right now where ladies are rubbing their legs with castor oil, and I mean, just all this stuff that isn't going to fix your lipedema, but
Right.
you get this crazy information off of the internet, and you'll just like me, I would have done anything if you told me to rub my legs in mud every single night. I would do it.
Well,
you know,
well,
so.
I won. I was so tickled. I was on my first cruise ever, and I won because of something I did. They have all those little games and stuff.
Mhm.
We won. My husband and I each won something from the spa and the fitness center spa area. Of course, what did he want? He wanted that weightlifting space. I wanted the body wrap because you could lose an inch. They swore up and down all the measurements. You can lose so many inches off this and that. I'm like, I'm doing that.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
need my legs wrapped, right? And so I go in there and there's other people coming in and they're all like normal in my head. Normal,
Mhm.
okay, so normal is the bad word for me.
I use that word too, though. Yeah.
Normal. So in my brain, what I saw is normal people were going in there, and they have pictures of these normal people with these smaller inches. And so, they have these before and after pictures. So my before and after pictures, I go in there and I got on my granny panties because that's what fit, right? And
Mhm.
and my granny bra and everything. I'm in there and they're wrapping me up, right? And I'm like, geez, nobody told me that. So they wrap me and they tight and everything. And then after so many minutes, hour, I think it was like 45 minutes or whatever, they unwrap me and they take a picture of me. And I'm going, huh, why is there no difference
Oh.
to these other people? And I'm like, because they didn't, it wasn't a compression wrap. It was like it was like a, there was something in it, probably like a magnesium wrap or something, but I'm
Mhm.
still there, and there are my calves with all their lumps and bumps, and there's the fat pad on the front of my knee, and I was totally hoping and I didn't even know it was a fat pad on underneath the front of. All I knew is that I had my mom's legs, and I had this big, and that's the way the muscle grew.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what I believed. Oh, that's just, and I remember asking my physical therapist one day, and Angeline, if you're on here, hi. Um, what why do I have a third boob behind my left elbow? Right? Because that's the middle school kids used to get markers and they'd draw a nipple on the back of 'em, little nasty
Oh,
beasts. But they would every now and then they'd be get back there. They're such beasts. I love them. And
uh-huh.
somebody had a brown marker and drew a nipple on the back of my elbow, and they said, "Look, Miss Streaker, you got a third boob." And I'm like, "You little stink." But that's what I started calling it because it's a nippleless boob back there, right? Okay, now I'm offending people, but it hangs like that. It's like it's bulbous and
Mhm.
um and fleshy and and I never understood why I had that back there. I was young. I mean, I was in my 30s. I'm in my 60s now, but I was in my 30s and people would say, "I saw you." I reached out. I remember I reached out into the hall to grab a person and pull them in, and somebody down the hall said, "Gail." They recognized my arm,
Wow.
and I'm like, "How did you know that was me?" They said, "Well, you're the only person I know that has arms like that." And I'm like what?" I'm thinking, "Oh, it's because of the all the all of this, right?
Mhm.
This stuff."
Mhm.
And it's been there since I was in my 30s,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Do," and then it started making me self-conscious, but I never knew it had a name. So when our lovely Catherine, we were putting together like, we tried to put it together. How do you approach somebody about lipedema?
Mm. Yeah.
That whole thing. And we were looking at, they said, well, so if, let's say someone's brand new to lipedema. So that's like step one, brand new to lipedema.
Mhm.
And I said, there's a step zero, someone who has zero knowledge at all. They don't even know the word.
Mhm.
So when you were talking about how do you even know what to ask for,
Right.
that's 0. That's
Mhm.
knowledge level 0. And they're like, "Oh." I said, those are the people who need this. Now
Mhm.
I found out that there's this thing, those are the people that need us. Okay, now what do? I need to advocate for myself. And we had a question here, and I really want to make sure that we get this because she says, "What will be discussed today? Is there a topic?" Right? And there's always a topic that's not always lipedema. And so this is what I ask people sometimes. Someone said this, I think could have been Lisa, said, "How do you talk about lipedema without talking about lipedema?" Right? How
Mhm.
do you make people aware without going, "Yes, we have lipedema," right? How do we get people aware? And that's that level 0.
Mhm.
Then, I mean, because I could talk to you and I could say, "I got a third boob back here." I'm talking about lipedema, but I didn't say the word, right?
Right, right.
And so how do you talk about it? You are taking it further by getting everybody who's talking about it together.
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
an amazing project going on. And so PC, who asked that question, that's now we've already been on here 26 minutes talking about how you found out. Now what are you doing, Susan?
Right.
What is
So let me step forward. So I think that we have a lot of people who are doing the zero space now, the people like the outreach. And I have been doing legs like mine now for 4 years, and it's been wildly successful. And I think it's helped a lot of people. And then, but I have this unique skill set. So I worked in government for 28 years at an executive level, and I do have a different skill set. And I'm retired now, right? And I have an itch that I need to scratch. And one of the gaps that I've seen in the lipedema community is we have tons of people who are working at different levels. We have a very few who are at the research level and that sort of thing. But what I think is happening is I've noticed that whoops, I'm so sorry, that we don't have a unified voice when it comes to going to insurance companies to request consistent quality care, to go to legislators to make it a rule that lipedema is taught in medical schools, to advocate up and outside of the community to decision makers. And what I did in this last month is I actually founded an organization called the American Lipedema Association. And what it is, it's a nonprofit, so no one's making money off of it, right? It is a unified group of patients, caregivers, and then medical providers who are we're unifying our voices. And what we're going to be doing with this organization is doing exactly what I said. Yes, we're going to build numbers, right? Because we want to say, hey, there are 12 million people in the United States that have lipedema. And we're speaking with a unified voice for the purpose of advocating for lipedema diagnosis and recognition, right? So we've got to get to medical providers so that consistently, when a patient walks into the door and they've got these symptoms, that the doctor doesn't dismiss them, diagnose it as obesity, misdiagnose it, um, send you back home and just tell you to lose weight. That's the worst, right? So we've got to have that recognition on the universal level, but then we also need to have consistent treatment paths where we're not getting told, oh, go home and I've been told this before, by the way, go home and prop yourself up with a pillow and drink water from a pretty glass and you'll be fine. Um,
Yeah.
just put your legs up, you'll be fine. So we need consistent patterns where doctors know where to refer, what to start people off with when they walk in the door at ground zero, right? But we also need the Department of Education and in the United States and Canada telling medical schools, you must teach lymphatics and lipedema in your curriculum. It must be included on the tests for doctors whenever they leave, or nurse practitioners, or mental health professionals. There are a range of professionals that deal with, and I'm talking about women specifically. So, people who were born identified as female at birth, right? Who, they deal with our bodies and our minds, and they all need to be able to support and recognize the disease. So this is an advocacy group. That's what it's really all about. And what we're not is a research group. So you're not going to see us, and I'm going to use the word intentionally, competing, right? We're not competing with Lipedema Simplified or Lipedema Foundation or some of the other organizations that are out there paying for research. They have doctors on staff that are writing research papers and coming up with consensus documents. But what we are going to do is we're going to take that information that's already been written, evidence-backed information, and we're going to use it like crazy and go like I'm a pretty courageous and bold person when it comes to, hey, if I need to call up, whatever politician because they're on the committee that funds the Department of Education, I will call them. I will hound them until we get bills on the Hill, or we get insurance companies to finally say, okay, here is the roadmap for getting whatever treatment it is that you're seeking, right? There's a clear path and there are clear checklists that you need to follow. And it doesn't matter if you're patient X, Y, or Z with $0 or $1,000,000 to spend, you get the same treatment consistently, right? So that's what the American Lipedema Association is going to do. Increasing power to influence decisions, unifying our voices to demand quality care for lipedema.
Yes.
So we just opened up membership to it in the last week. And what I want to tell you about membership is this isn't a money-making thing. Membership is $15 for patients, but if you do not have the money or resources in your budget to pay, drop an email to American Lipedema Association at gmail.com and say, hey, I'm a patient. I can't afford, I'd like a scholarship membership. We will scholarship you because it's not about the money. It's about representing you when we're advocating, and having your name on that roll is very important to us because we need your numbers to be able to go to the Hill and say, hey, last week we had 70 new members join from all 50 states. And this is a big deal. I anticipate that literally we will have millions of patients that join this association, whether they pay or don't pay. So like I said, don't let the $15 enrollment fee be anything to dissuade you from joining, right? Because all we're really doing with the money is just covering the costs of the advocacy work, and we're not going to be doing crazy, traveling all over the world and all that kind of stuff. We will attend the Lipedema World Alliance. We've already applied for membership in that, which is really important because, like Lipedema Canada, all of it, talk Lipedema, which is Scotland, Lipedema UK, all the different countries have reps that go to that. And we want to be represented on that world stage. And that's the other reason that we formed this organization is you have to be a registered patient organization to be a voting member. Lipedema Simplified is on there as well, which is great. And we've intentionally, like before I filed the paperwork for the ALA, I spoke with Gail and I not Gail, sorry. I spoke with Catherine. I spoke with Jonathan Kraft, who is the, from the Lipedema Foundation. And I was like, let's intentionally work together so that we're not overlapping and duplicating efforts. And let's, so I could go on. I'm just going to keep talking if you don't mind, because you haven't asked me a question at all. But one of the things that in the lipedema community, it's so weird. We do have a lot of social media influencers, and I am one, although that's not my goal, isn't to influence. My goal is to spread awareness, right? But there's a sense of competition at some level for people who are vying for like maybe affiliate marketing deals or like likes and clicks and stuff like that, because they do. I mean, that's part of their business model is that they're an influencer, right?
And they're working really hard. Yeah, this is
Oh my gosh, it
work,
is a
right?
grind. It is an absolute grind, right? And they are doing important work. Like if we didn't have people who were willing to share their pictures and their stories and stuff like that, we wouldn't have people filtering in who start getting the treatment path, wearing their compression or doing whatever. also getting this support though, which is really crazy. And I'm going to pause for just a second and talk about the importance of that social media level work. Even if there was nothing you could do to make your lipedema better, to make your symptoms feel better or anything, and the only thing you were able to do is connect with other people who have arms that look like yours and mine, and realize, and again, I'm going to use some terms that my mother uses about herself. Has been so hard on herself, but she came from a different time when the standards for beauty were 100 pounds, right? She calls herself a freak. And I don't think that any of us are freaks. And I've heard people say terrible things about their own bodies. But for me, the moment that I started seeing Lenny Moon Harden on the internet and saw her body, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have hidden my legs for so long and I look just like her, you know? And other people who share their pictures and stuff. And I share my leg pictures too, right? It helps you realize that I am normal. I look
Exactly.
like other women, 11% of women at least, right? And I am going to go out there and wear that bathing suit or wear whatever it is. And I'm going to show off my own beauty for what it is. But I am not going to go around feeling like I am some kind of a Quasimodo because my legs are lumpy and bumpy. I'm not doing it anymore. It empowered me so much to just know that I have a thing and I'm like other people, that even, like I said, even if there was no treatment ever, that enough was enough, you
You
know?
you know, that's that's amazing. Now I know that you're a retired person. I don't know your age. I'm 64 this year. And I'll tell you, when I was with Catherine in Boston in February, I told this story before. Catherine said, "How are you doing?" I said, Catherine, I'm great. I said, and I looked at her and I said, I'm happy with my body. I just blew out. 60, 63 years old. And for the first time in my life, as a thinking adult, not even an adult, because I wasn't happy with my body in my, when I was 9,
Mhm. Oh,
earlier, maybe 7, when I couldn't wear my older cousin's hand-me-downs because they were too small, right?
mhm.
So I was already too big for everything in my life by that time. I don't remember ever being happy with my body. Can't remember ever going, "Oh, hello, you. How are you today? Oh, look, you got cute toes." Whatever. I've never done that. And for me to just blurt it out, it's just like, yeah, I'm really happy and content with this body. And it's just like, I love her. When I stopped calling my body it and
Oh,
started calling my body her, and Nina Manelson was the one who said that in one of our body body love workshops that I took. It made all the difference. Took me 2 years to realize I love her, and
yeah.
she is my it's not it. That's not me. She. And I have a transgender child,
Mhm.
and they've had to go through the same thing of saying, "Hi, you. I like you." Right? And you're mine, and she's mine. And when I was able to, it just was like amazing after loathing her, her for so long. And I feel so, I've loathed her.
Yeah. The thing that is the carrier of your soul in this life experience. It's the only thing with you that your whole time while you're here on this earth, right? Yeah.
Right. And to be able to change the word loathe to love it was an aha moment. And I have never stepped back. But that was just this last year after knowing I've had lipedema for 4 years, 5 years.
Mhm. Mhm.
But knowing I have lipedema, I can show these arms. I used to
Mhm.
not even be able to. I got this new thing, this floppy thing.
Beautiful, by the way. I've been wanting to say something about it, like, that is
Ah,
gorgeous.
darn good yarns. Look up darn good yarns. They've
Yeah.
got some amazing kimonos and stuff, but I'm a t-shirt and jeans type of gal, and so by wearing like I mean, this is a recycled sari from India, and on the
Oh,
butt, it's got all the sparkles on the butt.
oh,
None of here. Somehow they ended up getting all the sparkles is on my tush, and
right,
I'm thinking, there you go.
right. But let's talk about that for 1 second. So getting a diagnosis and knowing that there are other people, so I'm just gonna say this, it changed me. I would not allow myself to be beautiful. And then one day I was like, this is what I've got to deal with. I'm going to do the best I can with what I have. And so now I do lipedema friendly outfits on, legs like mine a lot and stuff like that. Um and all of a sudden, like what I'm sitting here admiring your outfit and I'm like, beautiful fabrics are one of especially Indian fabrics, right? Are one of the things that I enjoy that I would not allow myself to indulge in before. And now when chiffon just really lights me up.
It's
And
so shiny.
yes, I will wear gorgeous clothes now and it is one of the things that has been so freeing to me. So, let's answer a question here for just a second.
Okay.
So, the fee for the American Lipedema Association it's a one-time fee.
Yeah.
It's an annual fee. And right now, the way that it's set up is like we're gonna like email you and say, hey, you're about to, your membership's gonna expire. It's not even set on auto renew. So, $15. And then this other question about what causes pain in the condition.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. And that's, actually, I believe that you all have a big seminar with big webinar coming up about pain.
You do. That was a nice segue.
Right.
Thank you. We take care of each other, right? Because we talk about what we're going to talk about before we start,
Mhm.
and we actually have a webinar on. Let me pop that banner up under here. It's a really good question because um, it is. Sorry, I got a tear in my eye. I get all emotional.
That's how I feel too. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're having a free webinar. It's put on by Lipedema Simplified. You will hear both Lipedema Simplified and Lipedema Project from us. Um, the project is the research arm um, branch, and Lipedema Simplified is the membership group and the educational group that we have. Um, this webinar is called Lipedema Hurts. There are things you can do to feel better. It's with our very own Dr. Leslyn Keith, and if you haven't met her, she's amazing. Warmest,
Mhm.
the most loving nerd geek person. She does a lipedema a research update twice a month. I mean, she's got her own following. And then Bryan Hayward, and Bryan has been with us for since 2021, and he talks about CBD and how CBD actually helps with the pain, because we're finding um, that we have inflammation, that it's the where there is inflammation, there is fibrosis. Whereas there's fibrosis, there's inflammation, and it's an ongoing circle. And that
Mhm.
the CBD actually does help with the inflammation. And so we have amazing stories of women who use a salve. Some take it internally as a
Mhm.
whatever. But anyway, so it's Bryan, and then Dr. Leslyn Keith is going to be discussing why there's pain. Now, I have this up here. It's on Tuesday. What is today?
That's today, tonight.
It's Tuesday. It's
Mhm.
today. Oh my word, it's today. I'm so thrown off. It's today at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's at 2. Okay, my time. I'm in Idaho. So let me put the link in there so that the audience can click on it and just sign up. It's really important, even if you can't be there today at 4 p.m. Eastern. um, Go ahead and register for this. Register for it, and you will get a replay, so you can watch it later. You can have
Mhm.
that little thing in your pocket, right?
Right.
And I will tell you, if you have never heard Dr. Leslyn Keith speak, you're going to be in for a treat. She is phenomenal. Jerry Hamill is one of our community members. She's also going to be there as a patient. telling her story.
Mhm.
So it's really important for all of us to realize that yes, pain is involved with this, and that's where um, sometimes I think we don't know we're in pain until we no longer have it or until somebody describes it to us.
Mhm. Yeah, so I did a series of graphics this month for Lipedema Awareness Month, and it was close-ups of my legs, and it said, "Does it hurt when the cat walks on your legs?" Did you guys know that's not normal?
Yeah.
And right? That
Remember
graphic,
taking the
though.
quiz and it says, "Do you have pain in your legs?" Nah. Have you lost mobility? Nah. And then you watch people going, "Oh my gosh, I crawl up the stairs. That's a loss
Mhm.
of mobility.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my grandbaby sat on my lap and I feel like you got the boniest butt. Get off, get
Uh-huh.
off."
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
normal.
Yeah, totally. But so I will say, just because somebody's asking about so I'm going to say from Susan's perspective, what I do for pain. These are three things that really help me with pain. Number one is in the morning. So I don't sleep with compression on. In the morning when I put on my compression, every single day, I'm like, I don't want to put it on. I don't want to put it on, and then I pull it up, and I'm like.
Yeah.
It does actually help because it's holding everything in and pushing fluid up and out, right? And it does help. The other thing that I do, so I have terrible knees, they need to be replaced. And I'm kind of kicking that can down the road right now. But I use a vibration plate and I keep it underneath my desk. So I use it while I'm seated and I spend a lot of time at the computer. And when I turn that thing on, I really get it going on these. I use a Life Pro vibration plate and it has these settings like 85, 86, 87. I get it up there in like the 89s. And when it gets going, when it's over with, I'm like, man, do my legs feel good. It literally, there's something about the wiggle jiggle that just makes it feel good. Like it actually triggers like some endorphins or something in my body. It feels great. And then for me, the other thing, I swim at least 200 minutes a week. I put a pool in whenever I got diagnosed and realized that swimming was one of the best things you could do. And I wrote this book called, I'm going to hold it up for you so you can see it. And the reason I'm showing you this is not to
Okay.
sell you something. Aquatherapy for lipedema and lymphedema, right?
Aqua,
Um,
you wrote it or you read it?
No, I wrote it. So I've written 9 books about lipedema, and
Aqua
that's me on the
therapy.
cover.
Okay, hold on. Aqua therapy. Is that one word or two?
It's 2 words.
Okay. Aqua therapy for lipedema, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
And the reason I'm telling you this, so I do sell this book on Amazon when I go to conferences. Like last week, I spoke at Lipedema Australia virtually, and I have given presentations at Fat Disorders Resource Society and stuff like that. I usually will print out 500 copies of the book and take it to be put in the swag bags for all the patients and stuff, right? At the author price, so it's cheaper for me. But I know that there are virtual attendees and stuff, and I'll say, hey, drop me an email and I will send you the free PDF, and that goes for everybody that's on this call too. I'm happy to send a copy to Gail, to email you directly. I'm legslikeMine@gmail.com. I will send you a copy of this. This book tells about the amount of compression you get when you're in the water and why being in water is so important. And then I have a lot of like really easy things you can do in the water. I'm not talking about hardcore swimming. I'm talking about walking in the water or light aqua jogging or scissor kicks. It changes my life. When I get out of the pool, and I'm not making this up, I've done a lot of studies on this now. My legs will be smaller because I've squeezed out that much juice out of my lymphatic fluid out of my system. And
And then
then
you gotta go pee. You gotta run in and go pee.
several times during a session. Yes.
Right.
And
Right.
then I wash off and I immediately put my compression right back on because I have really like a couple of inches sometimes when I'm in a bad state, right? So if anybody wants the PDF of this book, I'm happy to send it to you. It's that important to me that the information get out there than it is. It's way more important than me making 30 cents on Amazon. I'll tell you that.
Right.
I want you to get this information. So those are the 3 things that I do: wear my compression, use a vibration plate, and swim.
Okay.
And those really alleviate a lot of the pain that happens with lipedema for me personally.
Right. And I'll tell you something that we can add to that is when when you use your vibration plate, please be aware you do not have to stand on that thing,
Yes.
right? Um, I've had a knee replacement. It's been 15 years.
Hmm.
So, but I found that I was uncomfortable thinking, "Oh, I've got a knee replacement. Should I be doing a vibration plate?"
Hmm.
So, I stood on it. At first, I'd stand on it, and, oh, I loved it, and an endorphin. Oh, yeah, you get some joy from that, and so if I was having if I felt my energy level drop,
Hmm.
I would come in and stand on my vibration plate for 5 minutes, and phew, energy level would go right back up. There's something about it, right? I think it just gets everything moving again. But what I discovered is I can sit, put my feet on my vibration plate, and it doesn't just jiggle my feet. And if I put my elbows on my knees like this,
Ooh.
I put my hands together first of all, I can feel my earrings jiggling. So,
Ooh.
so if I have my AirPods in or something like that, I can actually feel it moving. That's how much it jiggles. I can feel it moving in my ears.
Yeah.
Even I put my hands like this and put my elbows on my knees and my arms get the full jiggle and I could sit there and just jiggle. And I love it.
Hmm.
I mean, I can't move my vibration plate very easily because it's not a plate.
They're heavy. Yeah.
It's a big thing, right?
Hmm.
I call it old blue. But if you and you don't have to do it for very long, a minute and a half, 5 minutes, and you don't have to do it very fast. Set the speed that feels good,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love mine. And so this is how good it feels. When I turn it on, if my office door's open, one of the cats comes running to sit in my arms because she likes to lay and do this. It just feels good. So I use a Life Pro waiver. And
I do too.
if you go on Amazon, and this isn't a plug, I'm not sponsored or anything by them, but they have different weight limits. And so right now, if you guys can't see my whole body, but I weigh about 325 today. My weight fluctuates by 40 pounds, give or take a good cruise or whatever, right? Um,
Oh, the
but
good cruises.
right, right. So the one that I have has a 330-pound weight limit. And even though sometimes I am heavier than the weight limit, I figure I'm okay because I'm not putting my whole body on it.
Right,
And it
right.
was under $200 and I use it multiple times a day, you know. So anyway, so that's what I do for feeling better. So I wanted to encourage you all, and Gail is a perfect example. And actually, we're both perfect examples. We are both advocates using the skills and gifts that we have, right? So maybe you're a crafter and you make t-shirts and cups and mugs and keychains and all that kind of stuff. Use that skill to advocate for awareness. One of the attendees here said there are 20 different inches difference between my waist and my hips. Everywhere I go, people stare and make it obvious. And one of the things that I think is that it's important for advocacy is to see pictures of us in our different shapes and states so that it normalizes it. I hope for a day someday where one, we have a cure, but two, for those of us that have the condition for the rest of our lives, that we can walk into a place and not have people look at us like we don't belong. And I have actually started telling people, it's okay if you look at my legs. Let me show you, especially kids, because kids can be really curious, but also sometimes it shows up in not so comfortable ways. It's okay if you look at my legs. This is what I have. And I'm a social media influencer and I have pages all about it. And I started a footwear company for people who have feet that look like mine and stuff. And to let people know, because someday that little girl that's looking at you, she might have a friend with lipedema that
Right.
she's able to embrace and be more welcoming to. She might have lipedema, you don't know. Um, and and for me, again, the acceptance is so important. Like I now, when I go to the beach, and I have witnessed this on Waikiki Beach myself, The minute that I pulled off my swimsuit cover up and went and played in the waves and jumped and did all the crazy stuff, I saw other ladies take off their cover ups and come and play in the water with me.
Yeah.
People who
Yeah.
were not planning to get in the water, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I had a I taught preschool for a while, and we used to have swim day at the local pool, and um I had a little boy pat my legs and say, "How did they get so fat?" And I said, "They grew that way. Are you going to go to Disney and make a wish on the castle star?" I'm like, "For what?" He goes, "So that you can be thin, so you can be skinny." I said, "No, I'm not, because these are my legs, right?" And I can remember I was trying to make him realize this is how I am. And then a couple of weeks later in the pool, he comes up to me and he's busy patting my legs. And he's 4, right? And
Mhm.
he's
Yeah.
busy patting my legs. And he goes, "Gorda." He tells me, he's like, all of a sudden now, "This is Miss Gail, and she's got these legs and they're big." And he's patting them and he's like, "Ah," like he's getting it. Yes, this is okay. And then he pats me. He says, he tells me his grandmother is
Oh.
also Gorda. He's telling me also fat. And so he was connecting me to grandma. I also had a niece one time who she was probably 6, and she walked right up. I was in shorts, and she walked right up between my knees, and turned around and had an arm around either leg, right? How kids do, they just kind of hang on to you, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was playing with their hair, and she said, "Aunt Gigs, you are like," you could call me Geeky. "Aunt Gigs, you are like the biggest, softest person." And it was like comfort. And I'm going to talk about my arms because this is a story that was hard because I do body work. I mean, I've done body work where you look in the mirror and you can't say anything negative. When you say something negative, it's over. Start over again tomorrow, and
Mhm.
start with your eyebrows and go down. And I could always get, I'm small. I'm small busted, so yeah. I had no problems, and I could get to my waist, and took me a while to get past my hips. Took me a long time to get past my legs, but I could never say anything nice about my arms. I could
Mhm.
never say anything neutral about my arms. It was pure disgust, right? And my my youngest is 37 now, but at the time, so it was about maybe 15 years ago, I walked into my daughter's house, and a friend was there from high school. And she's like, "Oh, Mommy Gail." And she came up and she threw her arms around me, and I wrapped my arms around her. She goes, "You've got the best arms. They give the best hugs." So she gave me my arms. She
Wow.
gave me the value. She she made me aware of the value of my arms.
Mhm.
I know my legs carried me in and out of the Grand Canyon twice. I know my legs carried me all over New York because I did the same thing you did with New York, right?
Mhm.
But nobody had ever gave me the gift of knowing that I could love my arms.
That's amazing.
So
And honestly, people who have lipedema we are cuddly and we have that soft skin. You know?
we do. And
So
and and we do. And I've heard that when we get past a certain level of nobody wants us around them, we realize how much people want us
yeah,
around them.
right. And it's so much nicer to be around somebody who has good energy and feels good about themselves, and then you can give more whenever you aren't so focused on all the bad things, too.
Yeah.
So again, if somebody's asking, email me at legslikemine@gmail.com, and just ask for a copy of the book. I
Yeah.
have 9 books, and I'm happy to send you copies of all of my books, in fact. I have a really good one called Jeans on a Beach Day that is many different women's stories about how they got diagnosed and the impact of diagnosis. Um, so what I do is I have a little package of books that I just give out, and you shouldn't have to pay for them unless you just start. I'm tactile. I like to have a book in my hand, but if you want the PDFs and that works for you, I am here to share that with you, and I give you permission and ask you share them with other people. Share the information with other people.
Yeah, I want to say, jeans on a beach. Oh my God, I know all about that. Yeah, I want to bring this up though. There are 20 inches difference between my waist and my hips, which, my dear Emily, I'm going to tell you, that's gorgeous. I mean, I think about the picture of a goddess in all the ancient statues, goddesses with those full hips. I had someone tell me one time, "I love the look of a lipedema leg.
Hmm.
I love the look of a lipedema body," because of the curves, like Curvy Girl Beth and all these other people who have these curves. And my mother-in-law, I remember meeting her for the first time. She was a postmaster, and she was, like, talking to me over the counter when my husband introduced me. We were 18, but she walked away, and her backside went just like that. She had the biggest heart-shaped bottom and tiny little feet, and I fell in love. I'm like, "Oh my word." And I was 18. I didn't know I had lipedema at the time. But I fell in love with that, and the lipedema waddle, there's something about it. So it's obvious, but girl, 20-inch difference, you got it going on. That's all I can say about that, right?
Yeah.
But we have the sympathetic of that. We have the empathy of what you're dealing with also. But there's a beauty to us. Even, not just inward. There's an outer beauty to us that's just brilliant, and I can go on and on forever about this. I wanna,
Excuse me.
Emily says, here's her next one. I've been thinking about making T-shirts with an arrow pointing down saying, "This is what lipedema looks like," and put it on the back as well as the front,
Hmm.
right?
Do it.
This. A
Yeah.
They use a big heart for the bottom of that arrow. This is what it looks like, and we got it exactly.
Hmm.
Um, I want to make sure. Um, and when Etta said, "I used to be so proud of my tiny waist," it disappeared after surgery. So when Etta has had uh, lipedema reduction surgery,
Hmm.
um, several of them, and she's been going through a lot. She's up in Anchorage, and she's been go. She flies into the lower states to get her surgeries.
Wow.
Which, that's another thing that we have to talk about with the lipedema is
The
AL,
American, yeah, the
American
American Lipedema
Lipedema
Association. Hmm.
Association, is by getting people educated, by getting the doctors having to be educated, the nurses, the therapists, it's gonna make it, treatment more accessible all over, so we don't have to travel halfway across the country just to get care.
Right. And well, the other thing too is, we have a physician, Dr. Thomas Wright is on the board of the ALA, and he is pretty open about talking about the amount of money that insurance companies will pay. And so it is not often a fair fee. And we need to make sure that insurance companies pay enough money so that the physician can cover their costs. Because what will end up happening if we continue to be in this cycle where yeah, you got approval for your surgery, but the physician had to take to do it at a loss. We will have physicians who are brilliant minds and skilled hands who say, I'm going to go into neurosurgery or, cardiac work, which is very lucrative. And we're not talking about making these physicians rich. We're talking about being able to pay their base expenses, right? And,
Right.
it's not fair to ask a physician to do the work. Yep, you got coverage for it, but XYZ company's only going to pay $100 for 4-hour surgery. No, that's not okay. They need
No.
to give a fair rate, because if you get back alley rates, you're going to get bad care.
Right, right. But you're gonna get back out what they call back alley care. Or you're going to get people saying, and we have to make sure that different stages will be treated, because you don't want someone saying, "Oh, you're not bad enough."
hmm Oh yeah, there's
Right,
research that shows that there is a lot of really good benefit from getting to someone surgically when they're a stage one, because you're setting back the clock. You still have an onus to do self care and stuff like that, but you're getting rid of those early cells that are starting to malform and not dying off like they're supposed to, and leaving the system. There's a lot of research that really supports getting to people whenever they're in those early stages, you know.
right,
But I'm also a huge advocate for, we've got to figure out what to do with us late stage ladies too. Like right now, for the most part, I feel like we're in a situation where it's like, oh, you're late stage 3, stage 4, your BMI is too high. We can't help you anymore. Well, there's got to be something we can do, because it starts compounding on itself. You can't
right.
move anymore. Then you put on actual obesity in addition to lipedema tissue, and it
Well,
just gets worse and worse.
and we know that weight is not necessarily all food and exercise related, right? I mean,
Right.
the whole misconception that, oh, need to eat less and move more, when most of us who are those of us who have been dealing with lipedema for so long, we have dieted most of our lives,
Oh,
so we've
yeah.
malnourished ourselves for most of our lives. And not only that, we've had bariatric surgery. Many of us have had bariatric surgery, and
Mhm.
so there's a level of of intelligence and knowledge in our community, who know this is what they've been telling us all of our lives, how to
Mhm.
lose weight. We know what food does to us. We have all this information, and yet then they say, "Well, I'm so sorry, babe. You need to lose some weight before I can work on you." And
Right.
you don't get it. What do you think I've been doing for the last 50
Right,
years?
right. And so
Right?
that's one other thing too, the awareness, right? If we could stop patients from yo-yo dieting, and just to be more accepting and eat healthy, right? I'm not saying you go eat, boxes of brownies and stuff, but I'm saying eat fruits and vegetables and a healthy diet in an amount of calories that's good for your body, right? But not these 800 whatever restricted things. And I'm going to tell you why. If you accept your body and you're just like, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to move to my ability, right? And I'm going to stop trying to lose weight actively, you are actually preventing yourself from getting muscle loss. It's called sarcopenia. And losing weight, gaining weight, like I've done over the course of my life, losing, gaining, losing, gaining. Every single time you do that, you are losing muscle for life. So that's why we've got to get to young women and let them know, like, hey, if you've got lipedema, here's what you can do for the lipedema, but do not yo-yo diet. Eat a healthy diet, move, but don't do this lose gain regimen, because it
Right.
is ruining your body. That
It is.
cannot be in that way, that cannot be recovered, right?
Right.
Um, so that's another thing about acceptance, right? Awareness and acceptance is so important, because you're changing the health of these women for the rest of their lives. Great, you're going to be a plus size woman, fine. Don't go, like for me, I went from 194 367 to 194, back and forth and back and forth, and every single time. And guess what? My heart is a muscle, and it's
Mhm.
also gonna feel the damage of sarcopenia, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to stop this yo-yo dieting thing, and part of that is awareness and acceptance.
Right.
I could talk
And
about stuff. We could
oh,
talk forever,
we
right,
talk
about all
forever
this.
right now, and I'm gonna have we've already gone over an hour. I'm thinking to myself, how am I gonna keep Susan at 20 minutes? This is what I was asking for.
Mhm.
So, and I do wanna talk about that dieting though, because there is evidence so the lymphatic system is not just a one-way get rid of toxin system. For a while there we thought, oh, that's how we get rid of our toxin. But it's part of our immune system. Of course, they always fill your lymph nodes if
Mhm.
if you're sick, right? Well, yeah, because they want to see how your lymph nodes are doing. Our lymphatic system is part of our first line of defense, right, for our immune system. However, it also takes nutrients through our body. There's so many things that our lymph system does. Now, if we starve our lymph system, if we if we don't give it the fuel it needs, and it loves fat, it fuels on fat first, right? If we don't give our lymphatic system the fuel it needs, we're starving our lymphatic system. And what is lipedema? Oh, lipedema is, yes, it's a fat disorder, but it's also a lymphatic issue disorder, right? I mean, there's so many things about lipedema. So not only are we starving our lymph system, but we're starving our fat system as well. And
Mhm.
our fat system is a survival system. We have to have fat. So if we're doing all this up and down and up and down and up and down and malnourishing our 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 fat, we need healthy, happy, well-nourished fat in our bodies. We're mammals. We have to have that fat to stay alive, right? And our lymph system, when we're busy starving it and not taking good care of it, and that is not our fault. But the more knowledge we have about it, the more we can go, "Oh, it might not be my fault, but being aware and knowledgeable about it, that is our responsibility."
Mhm. Mhm.
Just be caring for ourselves. Each one of us has that responsibility
Yeah.
to care for ourselves as well as we care for our other people in our
Oh,
lives and our
yeah.
pets and our animals and our plants. And we're caregivers.
Yeah.
And so we need to give our beautiful bodies that care. Susan, I want I'm challenging all of the people who are watching this now and who are watching it as a replay. Go to American Lipedema Association.org. Go there and join. If you don't have that $15, because we know pennies are tight for many
Mhm.
of us, don't hesitate at all to reach out to Susan. Susan, I'm putting her handle, legs like mine, and her email address I've put several times in the chat.
Mhm.
It's legslikemine@gmail.com.
Mhm.
Request her book. Request Find out more about her. Ask, say, I can't, I just don't have the 15 this month, but I want to join. Maybe next year when it comes up again, I'll have the 15.
Mhm.
Don't let the money stop you from joining this, because this this association, I mean, we're on the ground floor. We're on the ground floor, ladies. Here
Yeah.
we are, and I haven't joined yet. And I'm going to, as soon as I get off this call with Susan, I'm going to click on that link that I posted in the comments, and I'm going to join. And I want Susan to, by the end of June, I want Susan to have, what is your goal, Susan? What would you like
Oh,
to
you
see?
know what? I would love to have 500 members, and I will tell you, yesterday, everything's still very manual, right? It's gonna be automated in the background, but right now, I see every single membership registration that comes through, and I had 30 people join yesterday, but I would love to hit 500 by the end of the month. And honestly, I mean, I believe that we should be 1,000,000 strong by the end of the year.
Oh,
If it
it'd be
so,
fabulous.
yeah,
So
it would be amazing.
So here's the other thing I want all of our viewers to do. I want you to copy this and copy this link and share it with everybody. Put it on your My Chart. Get it to your doctors and your nurses and all of your healthcare providers. Get it to your friends. Look at your mom and say, "You know what I want for my birthday? I want you to join this because Mom, you've got lipedema too. I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I want you to say, Aunt Susie, I'm going to join this for you. You are going to be part of this association too, because we need people involved. So everybody go out there and just spread, 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 and give Susan the pleasure of watching this organization blossom into something, because it's connecting Lipedema Simplified to Lipedema UK to Lipedema Canada to Lipedema Western Australia. It's connecting all of us together. She's the
Mm-hmm.
tip of the funnel, and we're all just going to fall right in there, and we're going to do this together.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Absolutely.
so, oh my gosh, if there's one thing you can do today, think about it. I say to yourself, I can commit to this one thing. And all it takes is you're already here online. You're already on your computer or on your phone. You have it accessible. It's at your fingertips. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody too. I really look forward to meeting more people and using your skills and abilities when we unify together, because I'm going to be reaching out. The board's going to be reaching out. Okay, we're doing a committee to do this. We're doing a committee to do this. We need your brains. We need
Right.
what you bring to the table, because we're going to get this changed. We are going to get this insurance coverage and education changed together.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it.
And I'm going to drop the link one more time.
Yep.
I think some people, when they get on and they're watching, they might be a little bit late.
Mhm.
They might have missed the links in the chats and stuff. And so I'm going to drop it one more time into this. It is across the bottom, American. I keep leaving the N off American.
Mhm.
um, American Lipedema Association.org.
Mhm.
I've dropped it in one more time. Click on that link. Susan, I always end my show by saying, if there's one message you'd like echoed around the world, what would it be? But man, we've been echoing so many messages around the world. But I'd still like you to just um, wrap things up, give a message to all of our amazing viewers.
Right.
Whatever you want to say. One
Yeah.
word, 2 words, 20 words. Go for it.
Right. Okay. I will say this, that every one of us matters. Every single one of you matter. You're important. You have skills. You deserve quality care. You deserve this sense of community and belonging and being able to accept yourself because you saw other people's pictures and heard other people's stories. You deserve to wear that beautiful orange kimono and feel beautiful wearing gorgeous fabrics and to feel like you belong on this planet with everyone else. So I want you to know that that being together and seeing each other is so important. And I'm just really, really grateful that you all joined us too, because it gives us more motivation to keep doing what we're doing. So we are stronger together. That's my final statement, is we are stronger
Right.
together.
That's wonderful, Susan. And with that, I always think about the Prel commercial. And you tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends. And so, with Lipedema Awareness Month, let your two friends know that we are stronger together,
Mhm.
and we're going to build this coalition to make sure that we are seen, we are heard, and we are treated well and cared for. With that, I'm going to tell you guys all bye, and I will see you the next time. Susan,
Okay.
stay on here with me,
Sure
and
will.
okay, and I'm gonna say goodbye to our audience. Bye
Bye,
now.
everybody.